According to a Gallup poll, 51% of adults feel at least a little lonely currently, and loneliness has become such a problem in America that has reached epidemic proportions, including the US Surgeon General creating an 82-page document all about it and what we can do. And in it, he says it's worse for your health than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now, I don't see that as a chance to start smoking, but this is something that we got to work on. And if you chose to listen to this episode, I'm guessing you're feeling lonely, but I want that to change for you this year. And I'll be honest, since moving in 2020, I have felt lonelier than I ever have before. And over the last 3 years, I have worked to do some things to help me get through that. Especially this last year, I did a lot of things to change that. And so today I want to share with you what I've learned, what I'm doing this new year to continue to stop the loneliness, and some baby steps you can take to get started. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Creating Opportunities podcast. This is the place where we help smart, ambitious professionals create opportunities to achieve success in all areas of their lives. And how do we do that? By building better relationships. Why? Because people matter. So I am your host, Cassandra. I am a trainer, a coach, a nice coffee lover, a speaker, and let's get into how to not feel so lonely in this new year. So let's be really real about things. We need people and community to survive and thrive in the world, but having community, having a sense of belonging has become a struggle that's harder than ever before. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, 2020 definitely set us back. There's research that shows that you would think after that, as things have opened up, people would come together more than ever before. People would be out more than ever before. But actually, people are choosing to stay home more than ever before. Weird, right? With that, people are doing things alone and choosing to be alone at greater numbers than has ever been seen. In some ways, this is nice, right? It takes away some stereotypes or some biases if you see someone going to a movie alone or eating alone, etc. But at the same time, I do think it's sort of weird that we're normalizing doing things that were meant to be communal activities alone. That could be a whole separate video, but the rub is that because people are doing things alone, when you want to do things with people, it's making it harder because people are choosing, they're opting to go it alone instead of be with people. And with this, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying you can't do things alone. I mean, I right now live alone. I'm single. I'm an only child. Y'all, I'm very comfortable doing things independently. Loneliness and being alone are different things, right? But like I said, the fact that so many people are choosing to do things alone that were built to be communal activities is sort of making things a bit more challenging when you're the one trying to create connection. And then lastly, the heightening of remote work is making people feel lonelier. I know some people don't like me saying that. I've brought it up on my other channel before, but it's just the facts. Remote work has a lot of benefits, but one of the drawbacks is it's creating loneliness. People are not out and around people as much as they were before. So, womp womp, there's all the bad news. Here is one thing that I actually think is good that's gonna sound strange. People are starting to admit they're lonely. I, a year ago, would tell people, hey, I'm feeling really lonely. Like, it's just hard. I'm home alone. I work from home. I'm by myself a lot and I'm feeling lonely. And it made people uncomfortable. And I didn't hear anyone else echoing this sentiment. And then I went to a couple of get-togethers where I heard person after person say, I'm lonely. I moved 2 years ago and I'm lonely in this new city. I'm seeing people open up about this more. And here's why that's good. Because if we want change, we have to admit there's a problem, right? That's the first step. And so the fact that people are admitting it is the first step to making change. So I think that's a good thing. So that's why I think now is the perfect time to start trying to make these changes so that you are not lonely in 2024. And if for some reason you're watching this video, not because you're lonely, but just you found this topic interesting, remember 51% of people feel lonely. So if you're not lonely, someone you know is lonely. So think about these things for how you can help them. So some things I learned in 2023 that I am taking into the new year that I think could be helpful for you too. First one, make effort, but not force. I'm gonna try my best to explain this, but essentially, don't force a square peg in a round hole. So here's what this means. When you are lonely and you're going out there and you're making an effort to meet friends, you're like, I joined Bible studies at church. I tried classes. I talk about some of this in my 10 places to meet people video in an episode, but I was trying these different things, right? That's making an effort. But then I would meet someone who is also single and around my age, and we have similar beliefs and values, and I think, okay, we should be friends. But we get together and we didn't really have a lot in common other than we were both free to do stuff. And it ended in a lot of pain a lot of times and a lot of rejection. And I realized I was forcing it. The truth was there that we probably weren't gonna be the greatest friends, but I was desperate. I'll say it, I was desperate to have some sort of community in my life that I went, okay, let's hang out again. And it wasn't reciprocated. What's weird, and I'm sure some of you have been through this, if I invited, they would go. But I would rarely get an invitation back. Rarely would they say like, hey, I wanna do this thing on Saturday night, you wanna come with me? But if I invited, they'd go. So I was trying to kind of live off that, and it just ended in defeat. So for the last 9 months, that was the lesson I learned in 2022 into 2023. For the last 9 months or so, I've been really, really conscious of make effort. You gotta put yourself out there. You gotta try. You gotta invite people to things. But I'm not gonna force anyone to be my friend. I'm not gonna force anyone to hang out with me. Katie Morton, who's a very popular, I believe, psychologist here on YouTube. I think she's big on TikTok too. I'm just not on TikTok. She did a reel and a short about this recently too, where she's sort of talking about the same thing and how she's changing things for this new year. And I will try my hardest to put a link to it in the show notes in the description so you can watch that as well. It's a short, so it's real quick, but just to hear someone else's opinion on this too, and to know that you are not alone if this is something you have struggled with. But I now come from a place of, I'm gonna make effort, I'm gonna invite you to some things, but if it's not reciprocated, I'm not gonna make fetch happen. Okay, we're just gonna move on. So this goes to the next thing I've learned. You won't like everyone, everyone won't like you. I think with this idea of forcing it, like I said, there were people that probably weren't my full cup of tea, and I don't think you need to have everything in common. I do think some people are like niching down to a point on their friendships where it's like, if you don't like Japanese manga, boba, and a certain style of music, then we can't be friends. No, we don't have to have all the same niche likes and dislikes, but the idea of not all personalities match, or certain friends are good for certain things, but maybe they're not gonna be your lifelong best friend, that's okay. And so really just being real about, you know, I went and hung out with this person a couple times and we didn't gel. Or even in a professional setting, I went to lunch with this coworker a couple of times, or we did a Zoom, etc. And they're nice, but we're not connecting, and that's okay. Move on. Trying to force that to happen is just gonna make you miss out on the people who are your people and the people who are their people too, right? Time's being taken up in the wrong way. So of course, be courteous to everybody, be nice to everybody. But I really had to be honest with myself of, yeah, this person I just don't have a ton in common. And they probably feel the same about me too. So that's lesson 2. Lesson 3, I'm going to be honest about it. Well, so far this is not a roses and sunshine video, but we will get there. It's coming, you guys. Better is coming. But I'm just gonna be really honest. You will get rejected and you will get hurt. It will hurt when you get rejected. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, grow a thick skin. If you are truly lonely, there are days that are extremely hard and your mind can kind of like ruminate on the loneliness. And so when you get rejected, it probably, I would say, hurts more than when you're in a really rich, fulfilled time with a lot of people. If one person kind of rebuffs you, it's not a big deal. But when you're already feeling lonely and somebody doesn't invite you to something, you see the Instagram post and you weren't part of the dinner, things like that can hurt on a much deeper level. And I'm bringing this up because I want you to know that if this has happened to you, you are not the only one. It's really hard and it hurts. And I want you to know that's okay, but we are gonna have to try again. but I want you to lick your wounds. I want you to cry it out. Y'all, I had a morning where I saw people went to a dinner without me, and it was a group that I just wanted to be a part of. And the writing was on the wall that they were not going to let me in, and I had kind of been in denial about it until I saw this picture on Instagram where they went to dinner, and it just hurt. What hurt more was when I tried to talk to them about it, and they didn't really understand me and were kind of rude about it. But it hurt. And so I spent a morning crying in bed. I spent a day sad about it, took some time, and then life moves on, right? But I want you to know, getting out there and trying to meet people, you are gonna get rejected. Friend dating is still dating, right? Not everyone says yes when you ask them to a coffee for dating purposes or business purposes or friend purposes. So just know rejection is part of the game. Even if you're watching this from a loneliness in your professional setting kind of perspective, no, there are times where people just are not gonna gel with you. You're gonna get rebuffed in some way, but it's okay to feel sad about that, and then we move on. Because I want you to remember that if you give up, the only person it's hurting is you, and social isolation is good for no one, okay? I don't care how much people love to wear those shirts that say antisocial social club. No, this is not good for you, right? 15 cigarettes a day. So take some time and then try again. So have effort, not force. Understand that there will be mismatches, and that's okay, and that you will get rejected and it'll hurt, and you take the time you need and then you try again. So now that I've gone through that, let me tell you, those are the lessons I learned. This is what I did in the last 9-ish months that has really helped. First off, I joined associations and other business groups in my area that had regular meetings. I talked about this a little bit too in the 10 places to meet video, but something with a regular rhythm and the commonality of work really helped because it gave us a focal point that, just gave us something to talk about, right? Also, in these types of groups, it is not strange to meet somebody once, hit it off for that 5 minutes, and say, let's get coffee sometime, or let's get on a Zoom. And so I could further that relationship and then see them at the next meeting, chat again, etc. And so that just helped not feel as lonely. The second one is a little bit weird, but not weird. Well, it's just gonna be extremely specific. I joined WW. Now, WW is Weight Watchers. So yes, I joined Weight Watchers because one of my goals in 2023 was to lose weight. Still a goal in 2024. It kind of fell off the wagon a little bit, but I joined the old school version where you go to a meeting every week. Why? Because as someone who worked from home for a very, very, very small company, and then the last half of the year worked for myself, I didn't have regular rhythms of running into people. Even church, like I would try and go to church, and my friend who normally goes to 9, oh, we went to the 11 this week. No one would keep a regular schedule even with that. So I went, I'm gonna show up every Saturday morning to the exact same meeting, sit in the same section, and I see the same women and we chat a little bit. And it just gave me a feeling of community, even so that I just didn't feel alone. So remember, we'll get into this more in a minute, but you don't need deep relationships 24/7 to stop loneliness. Small things like a once a week, it's a half-hour meeting, you guys, helped me not feel as lonely. And so I know something can do that for you too. So I'm not saying you have to join Weight Watchers, but what is something that you can show up to weekly? Now, with both of these first two things, one thing you might be realizing is they both took a financial commitment. Here's the thing about that. For better or worse, people have to pay for something, show up. So even though it meant I had to pay money for it, it also meant that other people did too, and they're more likely to come to a meeting, to go to the association event, etc. And so those types of things where you have to put in a financial commitment do help to show up. So even I would say joining the Pilates studio that has a higher price point per month with only the option of Pilates classes makes people show up more than joining the gym for 20 bucks a month, where they could choose one class one week, choose a different class the next week, maybe do the treadmill, etc. So thinking about something with a financial component does work. And the third thing I did was I started getting intentional about doing Zoom chats with people I've met over the last 3 years that don't live in my area. So what I do is I have a Calendly set up that just is called chat. It has a certain amount of time set out, and I would message people and just say, hey, we haven't talked in a while. I'd love to catch up. Here's a link to my Calendly to make scheduling easy. But if none of those times work, let me know, right? Give them an out. And then we would get on Zoom and chat. And having just 1 or 2 of these a week, again, combated loneliness. So I really recommend start thinking through who can you reach out to, who can you start talking to get in like regular rhythms of seeing people. I also should make it known now that it's not like I didn't have social time with friends. I have friends I go to coffee with, I have friends that I have dinners with, etc. But people's lives seem busier than ever. We're not on the same schedules a lot anymore. Some people also with kids at certain ages have different commitments. And so there was just a lot more time for me to fill than some other people. But don't think I like sat home with nothing until I did these things. But that's part of it, right? You can be around people and still feel lonely. So there's that whole emotional side of it too. We're just focusing on the actual physicality of how do we get in front of people again today. Okay, so feel free to try some of those ideas for yourself. Now, here are the things I am adding to this for the New Year's. You don't have to do them, but thought I would share with you. So some of those people I've met from the different associations and groups in town, I have invited them to come to a lunch together. We're just gonna get lunch. It's a bunch of women who all work for themselves. We don't get those coworker lunches, so we're gonna get lunch one Friday a month. Very excited about this. Easy thing to do too, right? Easy thing to set up. All I had to do was pick a place and send an email. Great. The next thing I'm going to do, this is a February goal, I haven't done it yet, I'll let you know how it goes, is I'm going to host a cocktail party. I mentioned this in another episode that I read Nick Gray's book, 2-Hour Cocktail Party. Back in LA, I used to host game nights and parties at my house all the time. I have not done that here, partly because I didn't know a lot of people, but over the effort I made the last year, I can kind of double up on that now and host a party. So I'm gonna host a cocktail party. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to continue to do those catch-ups on Zoom with people I've met and new people. Some people in my community I'm gonna reach out to, my online community on LinkedIn, etc. I've just noticed that having those calls a couple of times a week reminds me that I'm not just in my house alone talking to the internet silently with no one talking back all the time, right? And then I'm also going to hopefully in this quarter start a co-working Zoom for myself and some of my solopreneur friends that I know across the country, so that at least instead of working solely by ourselves, we can see each other online. Even little things like that stop loneliness. So feel free to try some of those for yourself. So let's end on some baby steps I recommend you starting off with, and they all go under one general theme. You need to build talking people into your day. Now, that doesn't mean long conversations. That doesn't mean it has to go deep, but for some of us, your day could be not talking to anybody all day long. So here are some ways to start off. First, texting a friend or loved one every day does help. Having just that quick little connection moment reminds you, I'm not alone, okay? So try reaching out to maybe some people you don't talk to every day. Like I talk to my mom every day, but I don't message some of my friends every day. So every day I'm trying to message one of them to just kind of keep those connections going. Then I want you to reignite LinkedIn. If you have been not on LinkedIn because maybe you're not searching for a job right now and you think it's only for job seekers, LinkedIn is a great place to start reconnecting professionally. Go through your connections, see who you haven't talked to in a while. There will be people on there, I will be honest, you just absolutely forgot about, but when you see their name, you're excited. Message that person. Be honest. Say, hey, I was going through my connections. I saw your name and wanted to check in. How are you doing? I would love to hear. Like, easy place to start. And you'll be shocked how many people will respond to you. So start doing that to start just warming yourself up to getting conversations going with people again. The next one, I can already hear the comments, but I'm gonna say it anyway. If you work remote, you need to build actually talking to people into your day. Get out of your house. I want you to get out of your house. I want you to take a walk and say hi to every person you meet. Now, you don't have to have long conversations with anybody at all. I just want you to start saying hello. We think taking away loneliness means you have to have these long, deep conversations. No, you don't. We just need to feel connected to other people, to know we're not the only one in the world. So other ways to do this: if you go to Target, get in the regular line, don't self-checkout. Don't mobile order at Starbucks or your coffee shop. Have to talk to the barista. Those little interactions matter. We have taken them away, right? You know, connection used to be a natural, integrated part of our world, but sadly, as we've done things like Instacart, DoorDash, mobile order, self-checkout, etc., we are taking those opportunities to connect away, and we cannot pretend they are not affecting us, because clearly an 82-page document by the Surgeon General says it is affecting us, okay? We forget that those tiny, minuscule interactions matter. They mean something. So go get a coffee in the middle of your day and say hello when you talk to the barista, and ask them how their day's going, and have that small talk that everybody says they hate, but is necessary to help us feel connected. So if you work remote, get out of your house, say hi to someone. That's all I need you to do. Just say a little hello. I want 2024 to be a year of conversation and connection and community for both you and for me. And so let's work together to make this happen. Now, if you need help on that LinkedIn front and you're not sure how to reach out to people or what to say, I have a whole guide of templates for you. It's free in the description box below or in the show notes. Go check that out. If you didn't see the episode on 10 places to meet new people, you can go watch that here, and I will see you over there or in the next one. Bye.